All right. So if you're thinking I look a little bit different, I shaved or got a haircut, right? Shaved my beard, shaved my neck, right? Don't like the hair down there, it itches. I got a haircut and I have a new hat. Instead of saying Michigan right here, big M. I kind of like the old one. It was hard for me to like actually put this hat on and wear it in here. It's actually just like a necessity because I had this hat here. I was gonna start wearing it, and I was like, I like my old hat. And but now my old hat is like not here where I work. So I was like, all right, the new hat's time to wear the new hat, time to break it in. So if you're thinking I look different, got a haircut, shaved, got a new hat, man, I'm ready for the dance. Ready for the dances. We're going to learn about float and how to do float in this video. And so floating an image, super easy, right? We have an HTML page. It's got like a container. This is like two containers, a div up here, a div down here. Those divs, right, has a border of 2 pixeled red and margin 20 pixels. That's how we get that space on the outside, margin 20 pixels. They have the red border. The image also has the margins and the borders. So the border red around the image and margin, that space right there, right, around the image, just pushing off from the wall a little bit, giving itself a little space. And then inside those containers, so we have 2 of them here, I'm just showing you one. But inside that div container, there's an image and then a paragraph with a whole bunch of text. There's an image and a paragraph with a whole bunch of text. And to get that to float to the right, this image has the ID of right. And so over here in the CSS, I just say float right. And over here, float left. And so that targeting put onto this image, right, that CSS applied to that image, floats it to the right, floats it to the left. And then all the text and other inline elements will wrap around it. And so that's the definition of floating. I think I might have written that down right here. The CSS property specifies, oh, we have to read this one. The float CSS property specifies that an element should be taken from the normal flow, the normal document flow, and placed along the left or right side of its container where text and inline elements will wrap around it. So that's how float works. And once you grok that, so you can pause the video and read it again and just pause, take a second, like you pause the video, take a second, read it, and just reflect on it until you're like, okay, I got it. Okay, you done? Cool. So that's it. That's how it floats, left to right. And then we have this overflow issue, right? Oh, I wanted to show you like what happens if we kick the float off. So here we go, kicked off this one. And now it's no longer floating, it's just an image. That's an inline element. And then we have text down here, and that's a block level element. It's a paragraph. I had to check that for a second. And if we wanted to have text right next to the image, not floating, we'd use a generic inline container, like a span, and spam, not a span, spam. A span, not a spam. And when we have a generic inline container, it puts the text next to the element on the right. Be kind of interesting to see what would happen if we had a lot of that. I'm kind of curious. Kapow. So it's like on that line and then under it. Kind of interesting. But then if we want to float, boom, all that text wraps around. And it's, any other text or inline element. So I'm going to delete that. There we go. That one's gone. We'll wrap around it. So if your container where you float, right, is smaller than what you floated. So here, what has been floated is bigger than the container. What is floated is going to overflow the container. And so to fix that, we're going to put a little property on the container called overflow, and we're going to give it the value of auto, overflow auto. And so here's the CSS for that, div overflow auto. So to all of our divs, which are these containers, we said overflow auto. And so then the browser, which parses, renders, and then interprets and displays, paints, renders the display, right? The browser's watching and it knows if that container has overflow auto on it and there's something that's been floated in it, and that something that's been floated is bigger than the container, the browser will make the container big enough to hold that item. And so that's the amazing thing about computers. It's like, whoa. Computers are like way fast and they're monitoring so much, right? Like it's incredible what they could do so quickly. Truly mind-boggling one of the amazing, great engineering feats of humanity, humans, of nature. Like, this used to be a molten ball of lava, like a molten ball. That was our planet, is a molten ball. There was no life on it, depending upon what theory you subscribe to. Me, I subscribe to evolution, which is like vastly supported by the scientific community. I hope I'm not stepping on toes. If I am, we could have differences. Differences are wonderful. That's how we learn. And one of the great things about life is learning to appreciate and respect differences. So if you haven't learned that yet, I hope I'm not alienating you. But I don't know. The thing that I heard one time is a molten ball of lava has learned to sing opera. And I was like, wait a minute. That's totally cool. Right? Because it used to be a molten ball of lava, no life on it. And then life evolved. And that life that came out of the molten ball of lava, that in some ways is the molten ball of lava, it evolved out of it, right? Has evolved into humans who have learned how to sing opera. Man, I'm on a tangent. I'm going to keep going for one more second because there's another cool saying I got to share with you. And that other cool saying is from Thich Nhat Hanh. And he's like a Vietnamese monk, like who's written a couple of books that are totally cool. He's actually written a lot of books. And one of the things he's said is, if you look closely enough, you'll realize that your heart is actually the sun. If you look closely enough, you will realize your heart is actually the sun. So it's like, what the heck does that mean, right? But when you think about it, it's like, well, the sun makes all the plants grow. Without the sun, plants wouldn't grow. And animals eat the plants, and we eat the plants. And that's what gives us energy. And then we eat animals who've eaten plants, and that's what gives us energy and helps us grow. And without any of that, man, we would be not here. And so I guess I'm the sun, right? Because the sun made the plants make it possible for me. I'm the sun. I don't know. It's kind of a trip. All right, so that's a little late night rambling. And the introduction to Float. So we're going to see a little bit more about Float and some layouts and things like that right now.